It's one of the most anticipated books in DC Comics history, with a story that is set to change the entire landscape of this whole universe. With a surprise ending so big, you will never be able to stop talking about... Really, Marvel? You couldn't let DC have one day in the spotlight, could you? Nope, no time for that. Sorry folks, gotta cut that intro short because we have got to get right into this. I'm Aaron, Professor Thorgi, you all know the rest. This is Thorgi's Theory, the show on this channel where I give you my theories about everything from the world of geekery, everything from the sane rational theories to the far out there crazy speculations. And today you might notice that this episode looks a little bit different because normally the Thorgi's Theory episodes are a little bit more polished, they're a little bit more clean. I do a lot of voiceovers, I have a bunch of images popping up on the screen, but we don't have time for that. Because you see, this week in comics, something happened that caused the entire internet to, I don't know, lose its collective fudge, and we need to talk about it. Yes, you see, this week in Captain America Steve Rogers, the brand new book that celebrates the return of the original Captain America, at the end of the book, Steve Rogers grabbed one of his partners, threw him seemingly to his death, took a hostage, and then said, "Hail Hydra." Now, Marvel is coming out here and pretending like Steve was a secret Hydra agent this entire time, and the internet is buying it. They are saying that this is a total betrayal of his character. They are saying that this is disrespectful to the creators. They are saying that this is a lie, that this can't be real. They're saying that Marvel has completely ruined this character and all of his stories that came before. And listen, I can understand being passionate about this. I can understand being upset. But in the immortal words of Shaun of the Dead,
please, can we just calm the down?
Yes, this would be a complete betrayal of his character. It would be a total disrespect to his creators. If it was actually happening. Guys, I understand getting passionate about this, but Steve Rogers is not a secret Hydra agent. He has not been a double agent this entire time. He has not secretly been a Nazi who has been lying to the world by being Captain America. This is a trick, and all the pieces that point to it being a trick have already been laid out for us, and today on Thorgi's Theories, I'm going to connect all those pieces for you. But before I can do that, I have to explain to you all what has been going on with Captain America and his supporting characters in the past couple of years, and I'm going to make this quick and easy for you guys. However, before I sum all this up for you, just repeat to yourself this one mantra. Comic books are weird. Trust me, you're going to need to repeat that a couple of times. Okay, there are three things that I need to set up before I can explain to you what led up to this not twist. First off, in the comics, Professor X, the world's most powerful telepath and the leader of the X-Men, died. He has passed away. And the Red Skull took out his brain and took the part of it that gave him his immense psychic powers and put it in his own brain, making the Red Skull the most powerful psychic on the world. Remember, comic books are weird. Secondly, Steve Rogers has recently returned to being Captain America. I say returned because he had to take a little bit of a break because he had the super soldier serum, which kept his body young and in peak physical condition, sucked out of his body, which caused him to age to roughly 9 years old, the age that he would have been if he had never been frozen and never received the super soldier serum in the first place. And lastly, right before this issue came out, there was a storyline at Marvel called Standoff Assault on Pleasant Hills. And what the storyline was that Maria Hill, the director of S.H.I.E.L.D., had taken fragments of the Cosmic Cube, which is a weapon that allows whoever is holding it to reshape reality. Those fragments form together into the body of a human being, into the body of a young girl called Kobik. I repeat, comic books are weird. Maria Hill then convinced this young girl to use her reality warping powers to take a bunch of the biggest, baddest supervillains out there and alter their reality, change their entire being, so that now they no longer thought they were supervillains, they thought they were just normal people living in a small suburban white picket fence neighborhood. Maria Hill planned on keeping them there in this reality forever because she believed that that was the only way to truly reform them was by reforming their entire reality. However, just like any plan in Marvel Comics, it did not go accordingly, and a couple of the supervillains did end up waking up and they freed all the rest of them, and then all of a sudden, all these supervillains started rioting in this small little town and destroying it, while Steve Rogers and Maria Hill were trapped inside. Okay, those three things are what you need to know to understand why this is not happening. Now allow me to connect these pieces together. During standoff, as I said, Steve Rogers in his older body was trapped there with an injured Maria Hill. He had to get Maria Hill medical attention, but he couldn't make his way through this landmine full of supervillains by himself. So, this kindly old preacher stood up and said that he would take Steve Rogers to get medical attention, and he guided him through the town of Pleasant Hill so that he could help Maria Hill. And there even came a point in which it looked like they were about to be assaulted by supervillains, and there was no way that Steve would be able to fight them off. But this preacher stood up and was actually able to take down a group of supervillains by himself to save Steve Rogers. So who was this kindly old mystery man? Who was it? It was the Red Skull. Now the Red Skull has been trying to kill Steve Rogers for roughly 100 years at this point, so the question is, why did he step in to save him? Why did he make sure that he could escort Steve to safety? Why did he risk his own neck to save the guy he's been trying to kill this entire time? Maybe it's because he had bigger plans for him. Maybe he had plans for Steve Rogers that required that he be alive. Now, at the end of standoff, all the heroes arrived and they fought back the villains and they saved the day. But as they were fighting the villains, Red Skull, still in disguise and still being a secret from everyone, walked out Pleasant Hill, met up with his daughter, and she asked him, "Did you get everything that you needed?" And the Red Skull said, "Not everything, but a foundation." Now, what foundation could he be talking about? He didn't steal anything from Pleasant Hill. He didn't set any plans in motion. He just saved Steve Rogers and escorted him to safety. Unless, of course, he was doing something else this entire time. Something else that we could not see. Something telepathically. Remember, Red Skull stole the brain of Professor X, which made himself the most powerful psychic on the planet. So, could it be that the Red Skull came in and saved Steve Rogers because A, he needed him alive for future plans, and part of those plans included sticking close to Steve Rogers so that he could implant false memories in his own mind, so that he could set a foundation in Steve's own brain that would eventually make him think that he was a Hydra agent. In fact, at the end of that issue, Red Skull is with his team, and he says that he is not going to use his mental powers to force people to join Hydra, because he says that forcing someone to join is emptiness, and that true submission must be voluntary, and that if you are going to attempt to rule the world, you can't break it, you have to change it. He just described right there exactly what I just said he did to Steve. He came in and he didn't use his psychic powers to take control of Steve Rogers. He implanted fake memories into his own brain that would make Steve voluntarily want to join Hydra. That would change him as a person. Because he knew that if he came in here and just used his psychic powers to take control of him, he could fight back against that. But if he makes Steve think this is his own idea, inceptions him in a way, that is far harder for him to fight back against. And you might be thinking, yeah, but hold up a sec. Steve has training against psychic attacks. He's proven that in many other comics before. Yes, he does. The young Steve does. The Steve Rogers who can't get sick or never gets hurt and is in peak physical and mental condition at all times. That was not the Steve Rogers that the Red Skull walked around with and took control of. No. That was the old Steve Rogers, the one who had all the super soldier serum taken out of his body, the one who did not have all those mental blockades in place. Want more proof? Okay, this is the final puzzle piece. This is the one that cements everything and makes me 100% certain that this is what's going on. In that issue, Captain America Steve Rogers #1, it starts off with a flashback to Steve when he was living in Brooklyn before World War II with his poor family and his abusive dad, and then one night, when his dad is being abusive, a mysterious stranger just pops up out of nowhere. A stranger we've never heard mentioned before in the comics, has never been a part of Steve's history before. She just shows up at the time when Steve needs her the most, and she comes up, takes care of the dad, and then helps out Steve and his mom. She takes them out to nice dinners, helps them out around the house, helps them out in any way that she can. She comes to him when he needs help the most, and she's also the one who goes, "Oh, by the way, I'm part of this small community organization, Hydra. Care to join?" She's the one who comes to Steve and his mom when they needed someone for guidance and guides them in the direction of Hydra. Now, This person does not exist. This is not a real person. This is a fake memory. And if you need proof that these were all fake memories, these flashbacks are all in black and white. These memories are completely devoid of all color. Except for one. Red. The color red is all throughout this. Even the roses and the napkins at the dinner they go to are red, while the rest of the world is completely black and white. And this lady, this mystery lady who comes out of nowhere when they need help the most and introduces them to Hydra, is decked out in red. She is covered in red. That is not a real person, that's the Red Skull. That is a fake memory that he put in Steve Rogers' mind to make him think that he had always been a member of Hydra. Steve has not been a secret Hydra agent this entire time. He is being brainwashed. And I know that I make lots of theories here on this channel, and some of them are crazy wild speculations. I'm like, I don't think it could be true, but what if it was? This one I am 100% positive is absolute fact. In fact, I am so certain that if I am wrong, I will eat my own words. No, seriously, I will take the script from this episode, put some hot sauce on it, and eat it on camera if I am wrong about this. However, I do still have to address one thing that a lot of people are saying, which is that even if he is simply being mind controlled, it is still disrespectful to have this character who is a symbol of liberty and freedom and was even created by 2 Jewish creators and make him a Nazi. Someone who is not a fake supervillain like the Kree or the Skrull, but is an actual terrible thing from the history of the world and is still out there spreading hate even today. And yes, I can totally understand that. I can fully understand people being passionate about that. I can fully understand people being upset about that. However, I do not in any way, shape, or form believe that Steve is going to remain a Nazi. I don't even think he's going to remain for that long. I fully believe that at the end of the storyline, Steve is going to fight back against the Red Skull, realize that he's being mind controlled, and then it's going to all end with Steve standing up and saying that the powers of freedom, liberty, justice, peace are far stronger than hate and oppression and everything that the Red Skull stands for. I do believe that you are allowed to put your characters in terrible, horrible situations if it is all so that way they can stand back up and fight back against it. If it is so that they can rise up and overcome it. And that is exactly what is going to happen here. Steve is going to show in the end that he is stronger than this. He's going to prove that everything that he stands for is greater than what the Red Skull stands for. And the other reason why I am okay with this storyline is because it's being written by Nick Spencer. And Nick Spencer is the guy who wrote the Standoff storyline that I mentioned earlier, but he has also been writing the current Captain America Sam Wilson book. That's right, there are 2 Captain America books out there. Captain America Steve Rogers and Captain America Sam Wilson. And if you're so mad at Marvel that you're about to say, I am never reading another issue of Captain America Steve Rogers, that's fine, that's understandable. Read Captain America Sam Wilson. That book is actually standing for what Captain America should stand for far more than any book with Steve Rogers I've read in years. It is an excellent read and I highly recommend it. However, in that book, he has already addressed, in just a few issues, several big real-world problems. And I don't just mean like the stuff you hear on the news, I mean like deep social stuff, things that we should be talking about. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because over in that Sam Wilson book, he has proven that he does not want a Captain America who just punches monsters and dudes in snake suits. No, he wants a Captain America who addresses real-world problems, who addresses issues that we should be talking about. And over in that Steve Rogers book, that's kind of what he's doing with this. One of the recurring themes all throughout that issue is how easy it is for an organization like Hydra to be born. How there are people out there who do not get help, who do not have any other out in life, who do not have any other paths in life because there are just none open to them. Joining a hate group like Hydra might be their only option in life simply because they're the only ones who step up to provide help. How we should be reaching out and helping more people because that's the best way to actually stop something like Hydra from being born. We actually see the lifespan of somebody who is a Hydra agent and how just every single twist in his life just led him down a darker path until this was his only option in life. And in this book, we see in the flashbacks, Steve Rogers in poverty, with no help, with no one coming to save him from his abusive father, when all of a sudden just this mystery person shows up and goes, I'll help you, I'll give you everything you need. Oh, by the way, I'm a member of Hydra. Come along and join us. And in the end, that's what Nick Spencer wants us to be talking about. He does not want us to come in here and say, oh, how could they do this to Captain America? He wants us to come in here and go, how could they do this to Captain America? He wanted us to look at this character who is a shining beacon of justice and liberty and freedom and all that is good, and look at his past and how it reflects the past of so many people out there in the real world, and how if it had not been a kindly old doctor with a super soldier serum that reached out to him for help, but instead had been someone with a Hydra pamphlet and said, oh, here, I'll give you everything you want, just, flip through that first, his life could have gone in a very different direction. That's what he wanted us to talk about. He did not want us to talk about big changes at Marvel and them doing this as a publicity stunt. He wanted this to be a discussion about the way that we treat one another, about the way that we reach out to the less fortunate, to the way that we actually extend a helping hand to our brothers and sisters in need, and how if we don't do that, this could be what happens. But okay, that's it everyone for this episode of Thorgi's Theories. I'm sorry that this started off as a theory video and then slowly turned into a rant and then slowly turned into a discussion about politics and social issues. But if you've been reading the current Sam Wilson Captain America series by Nick Spencer, you know that, yeah, it's kind of political and it kind of does discuss a lot of social issues, and it looks like this Captain America book is going to be doing the same. By the way, if you have not read the current Sam Wilson book, I know everybody is talking about this one. I cannot recommend this one enough. It is fantastic. If you, I repeat, if you are upset with this book, read this book. You will not be disappointed. It is a must read. Okay, that's it everyone. If you like this video, then make sure that you hit that subscribe and make sure that you share this all around the web. It's the best way to help out this channel. You guys have been doing that a lot lately. And if you're new to the Professor Thorgi channel, we do discuss anything from the world of geekery every single week on this channel. Normally it's a lot more fun and lighthearted than this, but yeah, some stuff just had to be said this week about this. But okay, it's time to wrap up, so leave a thumb up, hit that subscribe, give a comment, and share this around the web. Thank you guys very much. Come back next time.